To me, my possible or one that I feel there's a huge need in this area is a medical center. We need at the very least an urgent care center, but a mini hospital like the one in Westaco, the Valley Baptist one, the micro hospital would do amazing for this region. I think, and it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter if it's in La Villa or Edcouch or Elsa. At the end of the day, we are so close to one another that it doesn't matter, and it would service all of us. But I will say, because we've had several meetings with some hospital officials, Prime being one of them. We met with Universal, right? UHS or what is it called? And we met with several of them. But I tell you what, it would help us out if all three city managers went to go meet with them. That way they show the commitment is not only from Elsa, but from La Villa and Edcouch too. And let them know with letters of support that, we're committed to helping them out in whatever way, and whatever it takes to bring them in. Because there is such a great need for medical services in this area. To travel 20 minutes to the west to go to Edinburgh or south to Westaco is just not enough. And Chief can attest, we're dealing with lives here. And it's important. So that would be my possible. I think the establishing a PUB would be great. But to me, my immediate need is a medical facility.
John, this. Way back in the day, we were trying to bring a hospital to Edcouch. We had a meeting with Alonso Bantu. That's when the Rocha's son was the main guy. Okay. Alonso, that's when Robert Spalding was the mayor. At that time, we met in McAllen, and Alonso Bantu said this back then. Eddy, or who said Edcouch? Not to me, steady. I will be making one over there. Just give me a little bit of time. That was many years ago. So the time has been given. If you were to go on aggressive, bring it up. Because he did say that. All right? Just for knowledge. He told us, just give me a little bit of time, and I promise you that we will. That was DHR, way back then. So use it, because it did happen. All right?
Yeah, we've had a few meetings at Lone Star, but I think, like I said, I think if all of us go together, I think it carries way more weight. I mean, we pull in all our numbers and just our unified vision. I think it'll go way further than just Elsa going on its own.
That's right. So in anything that we're talking about, it clearly comes to all of the things that hurts us, but really it's our benefit. There really isn't a concrete number as to our revenue of the year. Right? We're undercounted, extremely undercounted, especially when you start bringing in like unincorporated funds, right? So what keeps bringing in my year is what you said about the Tri-County part, that we are right in a crossroad where it counts probably city, nothing nowhere else, and also take advantage the advantage of the numbers, taking aside there John's those archaeological areas, then that'll. I know there's nothing of that here when it comes to medical, right? You have to go to Arden, right? So I don't think even Maymobile has reached at those scholars of being in up, right? So the benefits now that we need something, but we should need to prove like the numbers are here. And I know all this gets aired with uninsured and money, but the money will be there, either through insurance or whatever.
And what I was going to say, is it mostly about insurance, or is it about the amount of people in the area? Is that what counts? I think that's what I was going to ask.
So the last meeting,
how does that work?
it's numbers. It's all a numbers game.
Because I've heard that it's about whether they have insurance.
No, it's emergency calls as well.
Yeah.
They want to know if they can sustain.
Yeah, because I've heard different, versions, whether it's about how many people have insurance, whether they're insured, or if it's about the amount of people in the area. So I wanted to know, what is it?
The last number we heard was we needed 80 visits. What was it, daily?
It was 80 visits a day or 80 visits a week.
Not.
Was it a day? One hospital group gave me the number 80, and we were trying to talk to the ambulance company and see what was the call volume that they got, and it was a lot lower. And then we started having conversations on, well, how many people don't even call the ambulance and just drive themselves? And so how do we get our hands on those numbers? The other thing that I've learned too in talking to different hospital groups is there's different classifications, like a micro hospital versus an urgent care versus these other ones. Some can accept ambulances, some can't. And so depending on the kind of group that we're recruiting in and what kind of urgent care facility they're bringing in would determine on, I think, those things also. Do they need, is it insurance or non-insurance? Is it emergency or
We're
non?
talking about as far as insurance, how many, because they look at that as well, whether they carry private insurance, if they have, what type of insurance they're carrying, whether it's, medical, what type of insurance, whether it's private insurance, that typically issues.
Solve it.
I also met with Texas A&M a while back. They have a rural health department, and so they came in and they were talking about some of the clinics that they've helped start. And this was a while back before this last election. We met with at the time Senator La Mantilla, and she was kind of helping us try to get some numbers together and do different things. But it's something that we're constantly working on and constantly recruiting and. Land availability and metrics and numbers and where does it make sense. And we even had Prime Healthcare come in and they were looking at doing some kind of federally funded program, and they had to be in certain pockets. They were on a map. They were zoned like rural and versus urban. And so it's a conversation we've had with multiple entities, and it's something that we're like I said, constantly working on and trying to finesse our numbers to make it more attractive. But I think, like JJ's saying, definitely, working together. Maybe, we'll get to a GIS conversation later, but if we're able to pull out what we think are good spots for maybe urgent cares or health that are in the 3 different cities. And now when we go present, I'm not just showing them 1 or 2 pieces of property. We're showing them different ones. Maybe we can make some more headway that way.
And on the economic development side, that's our commitment, is when we all get together and we're out at ICSC pushing, we're all pushing for the area. Again, one of us wins, we all win. So to me, it doesn't matter if it's in La Villa. I mean, I'd much rather, I'm sick, I'm gonna go to La Villa, it's just, but it takes a collaborative effort to make it happen.
Understood.
But I believe that the market is, we have the market, and if the market is there, they will come.
Yeah.
And invest, it's depending on what kind of business, but we have the numbers.
And
Well, I
back
think
to
together we come in and we,
We have to, together.
Because it's not
Yes.
the city, the big cities in the rural areas, and the Monte Alto, your hard gills, even the Tarot. I mean, you can bunch together an area. And we have the numbers. Some years ago when we did the East Latham, it's 6.5 miles, and the estimated impact was going to be on people approximately 54,000. So that's for around 12.5 delivery, all the way east, around 20. So the numbers are here. When this rating,
I do believe that, if they have the numbers for a Walmart, why would you have the numbers for a hospital?
how many visits a year does a Walmart get?
But I was going to say that our trade area population for the Walmart retail wise it's always growing and it's getting closer to 100,000. So when you look at,
What kind of radius or what diameter is that based on? 20 miles?
I'm not sure on the diameter, but we get a huge not a huge influx. We get an influx from Raymondville. We get it's a big radius that comes in and approaches that Walmart. And so when you look at those numbers, I'm always showing off the Walmart numbers because they're the biggest retailer we have. And so, I never talk about our population. Like people always ask, what is the population? And I just move away from those because it doesn't even matter.
We're offering the people coming in all different, from all walks of life coming into Walmart.
Well, our traffic counts right there at 88 and 107 is ridiculous. What are we looking at?
We're
80?
at 20,000, about 20-some thousand a
passes by
day.
that intersection.
And so that's our busiest intersection. And then back to when we go to the ICSCs and when we talk to retailers that are constantly kicking tires in Elsa, everyone wants to be by Walmart or H-E-B. And I'll talk about that in our EDC presentation, but they look at those numbers, and back to, I don't want to get too much into my presentation, but there's a lot of retail interest here. And then when I talk to those hospital groups, they're the same way as a retailer. They want to be where that traffic is. We could dangle our industrial park in front of them and say, hey, you have free land, and they don't care.
People shopping between Mercedes, which is that, coming into that area, 1015, and we are on 88. They speeds are Ybarra 7.
So if we were to pull in those numbers on a daily, I mean, it would, I mean, if you're throwing in the 20,000 from Elsa, and then you're putting in the 1015 numbers and the Mount Juno, I mean, it can be impactful.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
The chance is there. In fact, again, more on this pretty low. Those are actually very good people coming in.
If I could say, so 8 years ago, when they were talking about the hospital coming to the area, the numbers were already there when it came to the residents in the area. They like no. The problem was other issue that the financial advice needs to work pretty the same, for the same. But as far as the gate, and the numbers being here, you can prove it all day long. So that's it. Here in this area, especially if we start that being at the guard, I mean, you're probably in number 2, right? But it or it becomes district now. But you are there. But we just need to come up with a format to present our information, and I know there was that concern about sure.
What's the benefit to be health care?
Well, I think the older what's in that at the time we were doing it, and they said, well, it's individual.
One by one.
Individual. So I know Edcouch tried it by itself, and then for whatever reason they country, and then Elsa tried it by itself. Whatever reason it
COVID killed us.
right? So COVID. But now, okay, let's regroup. Let's regroup again and then pick up either a board or somebody so we can start to showcase from like the Vigo.
Do you guys have like a zoning map of what you expect to see or what type of growth it for work?
We are working on a zoning map as a total.
Well, that would be great if we all had it. That way when we go out and pitch, we don't just pitch Elsa, we'll pitch the whole Delta.
There's some monies out there right now with